Okay. Okay, welcome to the Montego Municipal Regional Planning Commission meeting, Tuesday, November the 4th, 2025. Call to order, Alec Mosley.
Here.
Greg Maloof.
Here.
Dan Sargent.
Here.
Dan Brown. Absent. Katie Trahan.
Here.
And Richard Black. Here. Our planner is caught up on 24 due to the rock slide.
What rocks?
The rock slide between here and Kimball
Really?
on the westbound lane. And happened a short period of time ago. So I don't know that we'll have to make a decision on what on this agenda we can discuss without him and what we can't. And maybe we can work through some of this and give him an opportunity to be here. Call to order. Has everyone had an opportunity to read and review the previous minutes?
Yes. I have a question regarding the minutes. They're very thorough. Sometimes it doesn't say who's speaking or
We have an
what's.
I and a me. Yeah, we discussed
We
that.
fixed it.
Okay.
I'll fix it in the next thing.
Okay.
One of them was when I kicked it off and was talking about it, it was referred to as I.
General, yeah.
It was referred to as I, and then in talking to Jonathan, and then it was referred to, it was referred to here as me without referring to it as Jonathan. So
But I'll get those fixed.
those were the
Okay.
two, the I and the me, that we saw. The second me takes care of itself if you identify the first me.
Okay. Right.
So, because he's being quoted on what he was saying. But if you see any more in there,
I think that's all I saw.
the ones we saw were on the bottom of the page that's dealing with Dollar General. Before we get started, I,
Yeah,
Yes.
I saw that too.
and on the second paragraph on there where it starts off, yes, so earlier this year when Debbie sent me, which was Jonathan. That's a quote from Jonathan.
That's correct.
And he refers to himself as me further, which is okay, because once we identify who this is, and unless y'all see something else, it looks like to me it's identified, bottom of the page, Alec. Right before that, it was Dan Sargent. So I didn't see any more unless y'all see it.
I see one thing that's not crucial, but if we were changing it, in that paragraph that says so earlier this year, when Debbie sent me the assigned ordinance, I think that probably was meant to signed ordinance.
Signed ordinance.
Where's that at?
Where's that? Oh, in the same one as
The
me.
paragraph Debbie,
The assigned.
yes, so earlier this year when Debbie sent me
It's right, assigned. Anything else? Any housekeeping?
I moved that the minutes as so corrected be approved.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All those for?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, any staff and community reports? Travis, you got anything you want to talk about?
I got a couple of things. Can I come up with you?
Yeah.
So, Mayor questioned me or called me about the tacos. I think there were some issues back and forth about the distance on the alcohol, the beer license, and I didn't know much that had went on to that. I talked to Deb in the office a few months before and asked, where we were at with the beer stuff. And it was kind of said it was a package store before, so I didn't give much thought into it. But for the record, I went and measured everything to make sure we was in compliance. So In 21, they updated the beer ordinance right here, and it's ordinance 2121. I'm just gonna read this bottom section to you. It says, in no event will a permit be issued authorizing manufacture, storage of beer, or the sale of beer within 200 feet of any school, residence, church, or other place of public gathering. The distances shall be measured in a straight line from center of the front door of the permittee's place of business into the center of the front door of the school, residence, church, or the facility, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I took that, I went over and done several different measurements. The main measurement that matters is the distance between the front door of the main entrance of Paco's Tacos to the front door of the elementary school measures 491 feet. So it is 491 feet.
And
So
what's the minimum traffic?
the minimum's 200 by ordinance 2121. So it's, I mean, for that ordinance amendment, it's in compliance.
It was unclear when they changed the ordinance
Yes,
previous because it was property line to property line.
yes,
And that's pretty hard.
yes.
So we redefined it to the front door.
Property line to property line was 104 feet. Believe it or not, it's 309 feet from the front door of the school to the corner of the school's property line, which blew my mind. I would have never guessed that. But, yep, it's in compliance. So, questions on that?
Yes, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, if I may, Travis, and thank you for that. That's
Yes.
been an issue, as I've told you, it's been addressed several times.
Yes.
So this clears that up perfectly. Thank you.
Yes.
The other thing, I just got a text from Jonathan, if you want to intercede there. He says, you can call me if you want. I still have pretty good cell service right now. So he may fade in and out, chugging up the mountain. If you want to do anything, I can call him. If you don't need him now, we'll
Is
see
he
how the
still,
meeting
is
goes.
he still stalled?
I'm sorry?
Is he still stalled?
Yes. I just passed that on, but please continue.
As long as we're able to hear him, we'll let Travis finish.
Okay.
Yeah, so the beer board stuff, you know, we're only gonna get more of these, right, in these establishments. I think, I mean, I don't wanna reinvent the wheel, I think the wheel's spinning fine, but just to clarify this, I believe we owe the public, I'd like to see the application to have an actual measurement added on there, and whether it's passed down to me in my job description to actually go out and do all these things for the beer board and come back and report in the application process, I just think that would be due diligence, I believe. That's just my view.
It probably, you know, you couldn't rely on their measurement.
Right.
You know, you still have to go out and confirm it, but it probably needs to be disclosed to them at some point, even before they
think
make
so.
the application. I don't know how.
And if they admit it's less than 200 feet in their application, that simplifies your job.
Exactly, yeah, that's right. I don't know, I just think that would be some due diligence anyway. That's for you guys to hear for future plans, but.
A good point. I think
And
a lot of
then-
it would be determination even before, they don't even need to be moving. If Paco Taco was going there so they could sell beer, we're pretty far down the road
That's
before
right.
we get to them applying for
That's
a beer
right.
permit.
Yeah, I'm gonna have all of my stuff, actually, you know, the building side of it, and your planning side's gonna be done prior to they get into the licensing side of it. And if that makes them non-compliant, I mean, obviously they can still have a restaurant, but they can't serve alcoholic beverage.
Right.
I mean, I guess the only thing that's at jeopardy is their beer permits.
And I guess that poses a question to me too, and I don't know if the mayor can answer or who. Now, does that same requirement, does that take precedent dealing with liquor laws also?
So I'm very, very dumb in that. I don't know much about the ABC side and the liquor side. I know they have a beer license, but I know they don't get a liquor license. And I don't know if that, that's what I was told to do.
I guess when you're dealing with ABC, it's a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm green on that stuff.
It's up to ABC to-
I don't know the answer to that.
It's my understanding, and I'm not an expert, that you could not qualify for a beer license.
Yes.
But ABC would give you a
I heard
liquor
that
license.
exactly. I heard that, yes. I agree.
I don't believe these distances from churches and so forth are part of the state law on liquor licensing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say they're more relaxed, it's just that distance thing is not part of their qualification.
I'm with you. So there's that, and then that, I mean, that's, I don't know, but that's what I found on the Paco's Tacos. I knew there was some folks in the community that had asked. I'll also report that to the council when we meet again, but anyway, and then, the gas station, I think, I'm gonna let Jonathan, I'm sure he's got some stuff in your packet on the gas station. We've kind of went back and forth on the site plan for the BP. we found some holes and some loops, and at the beginning of this was a nightmare, just trying to decipher the emails and go back and forth. I think Jonathan's gonna give you the revised site plan to look at, and I don't know if I'm speaking out of place or not, but we're still working, I'm still digging into that. I just had a call from the sign outfitters today to put their signage up. I've got concerns with the pylon sign, the big high-rise sign in the front. That sign's stood abandoned for probably 20 years, 25 years, right? So I told the sign folks, I said, he's trying to get that permit granted. I think Jonathan's also got some teeth into that, but I need an engineering report and an engineering scale on these pylons to make sure that the dexterities are there.
Do you know the height of that sign?
I do not know. It's on my desk. It's in their blueprints, but I've not.
Well, Jonathan sent us a revised site plan that has several pages about the sign, but I can't, if it says how tall it is, I can't figure that out.
You probably got the same packet that I've got, I would say, from the.
It says how much card it draws and a bunch of stuff like that. It also says the square footage of the sign, which exceeds the legal square footage.
Yes, I mentioned that to the company today and said that was probably going to be a planning commission question or a comment, and it's probably going to go to BZA if they even send you there. So
they need to not be putting their sign up while
they're not. I promise that. I need engineering reports on those pylons. So anyway.
Didn't his email also have indications in reference to the integrity of that sign?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, yes. I've asked for electrostatic testing.
That was originally a Hardy sign, I think, way back in the early 80s or late 80s.
So I don't even know how long it's set abandoned, but I mean, I just think it needs to be checked for dexterity before we put a sign on it. That's my point, in my opinion. Anyway, any other questions I can help?
As far as the beer application, that's a city council.
Yes,
Okay.
your board, it is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to recommend to, me and Mayor's already briefly talked, I'm just kind of keeping us all on the same page because you guys are obviously going to see these establishments come through as well, but I just think I don't know, due diligence needs to be served on.
Right. I agree. Thank you.
Yes.
While you're still there, we had some unfinished business on Fall with Paco Tacos also on the boardwalk.
So they gave me a sketch plan. The sketch plan that was there, the first sketch plan was simply a sketch plan, and I said that kind of needs to be the engineering scale. She remarked it up, submitted it again. All the measurements were there, the setbacks were there, everything was in compliance. The only thing that I was in question with was the fence that she had mentioned the last time. That fence has since been taken completely out. It's basically just a boardwalk now, and improved what the existing were for the, I guess, the landscaping you would call it. She's coming out and giving me all of her explanations on it, and she wants to add the fence, but I said before you add any kind of fence or anything that is erected upwards, it needs to come back to the commission and need to specify that as a fence.
And we said that real clearly at the last meeting.
We did,
in your presence.
yes. Yes. So, anyway, but I think there's also we've got some grease trap in there. There's just some nitpick stuff that we're still working on. Grease trap interceptor issues going and some other things, but I think we're getting there.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Any other old business to discuss? New business. Jonathan, the sketch plan zoning ordinance amendment. I assume everybody has seen ordinance that he has prepared. And I don't remember which ordinance this is cleaning up, or if this is adding something. Alec, you remember?
My impression is that this is a response to the Tacos
That's right.
question that arose at the last meeting as to what the process was to approve construction of the outdoor deck.
Yes.
And I think we decided that the building official could approve or disapprove the one in that case, but that it would be helpful to clarify the situations in which it could be done by the building official alone, and that's the purpose of this ordinance, I believe.
That's what I understood, yeah.
Now, we didn't discuss things like the total gross floor area and, you know, that sort of thing. So Jonathan obviously composed this, and I'm not sure, you know, why it says what it says. It would be nice if he were here to explain it. This
I'll
refers,
give you some direction. We
This
can get
refers-
it on the phone. I don't know if that's gonna be, if we're gonna be to hear him. I don't know where we're gonna be.
I'll be happy to try. There he is. Hello there. You're on speaker best we can. Almost.
oh, well,
Try again.
Can everybody hear me?
Kind of. I think the best we're going to be able to.
Okay. So basically, I was actually watching you guys on the Facebook, so I knew exactly what you guys were talking about. The ordinance, basically, this is just a standard, which is a lot of other municipalities where they have, allowing the building inspector to approve sketch plans for additional extensions. So here, I think the first one I put is additions to the building. So if somebody's making a small addition to the building where they're not, it's less than 1,000 square feet or less than a third of the total gross floor area of the existing building, whichever is smaller. So if it's smaller than 1,000, that's what it falls under. And then also new buildings where the total gross area does not exceed 1,000 square feet, provided there's no alteration, drainage flow, etc., all that stuff. And then improvements to off-street parking to existing buildings, so where access will be provided by existing driveways. With such an improvement does not provide more than 5 additional parking spaces. I just put this based off of what we have in some of our other communities. We can edit it, change it as you guys see fit, or if you guys think that, one of these don't make sense, then we can remove it. But I just want to give something for you guys to think about.
Jonathan, should we move it to the city and get their feelings and come back to the planning commission, or is there a better way to handle this?
Whatever, basically, if you guys choose to vote on this tonight to, recommend approval or disapproval, then it still goes to the city commission. They can vote to take it up or, vote on it. That's if you guys don't want to do any edits before it goes to the city commission.
Okay.
Jonathan, this is Alec. I have a question. I don't have the zoning ordinance with me, but as I recall, there's a provision that says if the building official, even in case where a sketch plan might be permissible, the building official has the discretion to refer it back to the planning commission.
Yes, that is part of, that's part of section 102. Section 102. It's part of the sketch plan requirements, actually. But within the zoning ordinance. So this would still fall under that. All these additions would still fall under the sketch plan requirements, which in the sketch plan requirements, if the building inspector has any issues whatsoever, he can send it to planning commission for site plan approval. Because, if there's any questions about zoning related issues, anything that he doesn't feel comfortable approving it with basically a staff approval, then, if it's not cut and dry, he can send it back to the planning commission.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any discussion? Is this response satisfied? Everyone?
I move that the commission recommend the adoption of this ordinance to the mayor and board of aldermen.
Can I have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those for?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is Montego Market revised site plan and landscaping plans. And I assume that's the same property that we've been talking about. I'll give my opinion is that there's been enough conversation about the changes, what did happen, what didn't happen, whether we have an existing sign that's approved, whether we don't, whether the process that we've got to go through because the sign that's being proposed is bigger, 120, above the 120 square foot limitation. That, my opinion is that we either vote on it the way you want to vote or table it or whatever the correct procedure would be. But I'm not comfortable with where I am with this revised cycle. Now,
Are you a representative of the?
Yeah, I'm a representative from the Healthcare Architects, and Jonathan did mention to me that the sign was way larger than expected on the zoning ordinance, so I let the owner know that he needed to revise his drawings for the sign. We just wanted to see if we could get the site plan and the landscape plan for now, move forward, and then once they decide to move forward with the 120 square foot sign drawings, that those could be approved later on if that's possible.
There's a provision in the zoning ordinance that if the site plan is approved with a sign shown, that constitutes approval of the sign. We do not want to approve that sign. And I want to know the height of it. Do you know?
Yeah. So it is 24 feet and 5 inches.
Total height?
I'm not comfortable approving anything that's not exactly how it's going to be. We've already had issues with your site plan, and so I'm not comfortable approving anything that's not shown exactly as it's supposed to be.
Is the only issue the sign? Because my concern is, and I understand all the comments, when TDOT starts their bridge work, they're going to chop up whatever they're going to chop up in the front, whether it's landscaping, signs, entranceways, or whatever, they're going to be doing their work. So I don't think it's fair to have them do one thing and then 2 or 3 years later, TDOT pulls it all out. That's my comment.
What do you think we ought to do?
I don't know, the signs, well, is the sign the only problem with the site plan? Because so much of this was discussed, as some of you may remember, more than once, and they eliminated the problems with delivery in the back, they eliminated the second drive-through window, they eliminated everything that we were fussing about, so...
Well, I will
We
say
didn't
that,
have a problem with delivery in the back. They
we
didn't
approved
want
the
delivery in
one
the
that
back.
dropped through.
I will say
But it was
this,
the
I will
setback.
say this, Greg, we conditionally approved the site plan, which they appear to have treated as though it were finally approved.
Right.
Built. But they have changed the site plan without ever returning to the planning commission. And I don't think that, I'm curious to know how that happened.
What changes?
The
Eliminating what
drive-through.
we were fussing around?
The
And
drive-through.
they were fussing-
They
whoever
moved
was
the building
fussing-
back to almost completely to property line.
Does this meet the setback requirements and eliminating the second drive-in window and everything?
I don't know, I don't want to comment on it until I look it up and reference it.
Well, I'm curious as to how a site plan that the applicant thinks is approved gets changed. Without any referral back to the planning commission.
I don't know. The only thing I
That's what I'm
heard is
asking.
they eliminated the problems that we were discussing, was what I had heard.
I know, but they don't get to revise an approved site plan,
No, I understand.
even if you're okay with what they did there.
And what we wanted done there.
We
That's
didn't
my-
ask to remove the drive-through behind the
We had concerns about this, as I recall, we had concerns about the second drive-through window and the back, but
Well, I'm talking about
I'm just-
the process
the
of taking
process, I understand.
what is being treated as an approved site plan, changing it, without asking the planning commission to approve the changes. I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be.
No, I understand the process, so, okay, and let's move forward. Do you want them to call this meeting a submission of a site plan?
I think that's what is on the agenda. But
I look to you for I'm just trying to recreate some of the history and the comments. I agree with Mr. Mosley that you just don't change things and say everything's fine. So you come before the commission. Are you now coming before the commission with these revisions that we had talked about for 100 years?
Yes. Yes, I would like to submit this site plan and landscape plan.
I would like to ask another question on, I can't see the page number, in the drawings, in the sign references, it says subject to change during engineering review. Is it the client's position that we can approve the sign, and then they can change to a different type of sign?
No, they just wanted to, I think they were referencing to, so I don't know if they need the full, because this is an existing sign. So it's, I guess it's subject to review to see if it's still sturdy and like if they need to make changes within the interior so it can still be stable and, you know, still be used. I think that's what they were just proposing on the exterior facade of it.
Well, it's my opinion that the sign is gonna need to meet our current sign standards. And so it doesn't sound like to me this existing sign would be able to work.
Yeah, because it does show that it's over 124 square feet. So I did let the client know that it would need to be revised.
Okay.
So it meets the 120 square foot area.
Okay. As far as, you know, just giving feedback then on the rest of it, so that you're needing to make revisions to be able to come back. Did anybody have any other comments?
If we vote on something, I'm gonna vote against it, I'm just gonna tell you, because I don't think I have enough information to be able to do it. So I don't know what that does to them as far as how long they have to come back or any of that kind of stuff. So I just don't think we have the information. There's signs on here that don't fit. There's an argument, seems to be, between somebody and somebody over whether there's an existing sign or applicable existing sign. I've heard from Travis with concerns. So I'm not comfortable with supporting it. I don't know what direction we need to go with.
Travis?
I would just ask that you guys from the inspectors category, if you would table this until next, and I'd like to have because this sign that Mrs. just showed me here is the pylons. It has to do with the pylons out front, and I need a report on the engineering dexterities of that sign before we hang anything else on it. That's where I'm at with it.
And that's what I was going to say. If there's engineering required for the sign, that's one thing that I understand that. Are there any other problems with the rest of the site plan?
Well, I'm
as long as we're
personally not
discussing
interested.
it.
Excuse me, sir.
No, go ahead.
I'm personally not willing to vote on another site plan that isn't in final shape. We've done that, and we probably would not want to do it again.
If I may interject, I agree with you guys on all this. I think my recommendation, is that this be tabled until next month, because again, I think the sign, the whole purpose of the site plan, what we need to make sure that we have in the future is that, the site plan is what is going to be built. There needs to be a signed site plan always sent to the building inspector, so that way there's never a confusion about what is being approved and what is not being approved. So when the building permit is issued, they know exactly what it is. That's the whole purpose of the signed site plans, is that everybody has a copy. So if there's a dispute, everybody looks at their copies. So I think that's where it got, I don't know, basically it dropped through, and then there was confusion. So year after, I think it was actually long, almost a year and a half later, they're applying for a building permit. Nobody was involved, because I was on the planner then, Anya was the planner then, so people that were involved had no idea about what went down, or were not there. So I think we need to make sure that, we have the final product, and then it's a signed site plan, and everything that's associated with that plan, which includes the signs, which is the biggest thing. I think the issue right now is the sign.
Well, that's my point. Jonathan, are there any other issues with the site plan other than the sign?
Yeah, I don't believe so. From what I look at, comparing the two site plans that was approved in 23 and what's here, what they simply did was eliminate the drive-through and push the retaining wall all the way flush, essentially. So the building itself didn't actually move forward where it was originally proposed, but the retaining wall moved further in.
And is that because it's a different type of retaining wall? Is it the like Versalock versus a regular concrete pour?
I could not tell there. I don't have any engineering plans for this, and what I have sent to you guys is what I received.
Understood.
Again, this is kind of the situation where the moment the building permit was issued and they started building, we have to make sure they have it, but you can't tell them to tear down their building or move stuff at this point. I mean, that's just, rightly or wrongly, they got vested property rights the moment that their building permit was issued.
I understand.
So, yeah.
I move that the consideration of Montego Market's revised site plan and landscaping plan be tabled until the next meeting, pending engineering review and submittal of a lawful sign proposal.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any more discussion?
Well, I would just add this, that please have your firm check with Mr. Rush and the owner, so you do come back, there's no more discussion. We'll have the engineering of the sign, we'll have whatever changes we're talking about with the site plan, and hopefully we can resolve this. Because, as you know, you may not know, the history, we've been back and forth more than once. There were personnel changes here and there and everywhere, and that led to a lot of confusion. So what we're trying to do now is rectify it, and please contact Mr. Rush and make sure that every aspect of the site plan is satisfactory, as well as the sign engineering. That would be my advice. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All those for?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
This is their drainage wall interlocks. So I asked for compatibilities and everything because this is supporting a footer and foundation. So all this made in compliance with interlock or with capacity as far as compatibilities. So I mean, it's all done right the code. But the problem was the egress for this, and this is where I've got sideways and confused. The conditional that was approved at the commission the first time before the BZA trip, then went to BZA trip and come back, and they couldn't accept backdoor deliveries because of this.
It never came back here.
No, it did not. You're right. You're exactly right.
But does it end in BZA?
No, there's supposed to be an ordinance passed too.
So this is
to set onto it, they have to sign off with the site plan here, it's got to go to BZA and then back here for the signature.
And then
after they
back
pulled
here.
the permit application, it was just all twisted up that I
It was.
assumed if you're coming for another permit application for a big firm, everything's in compliance. But they basically take it, because I was part of the argument on the egress for emergency vehicles to go around the building to the drive-through with the other window on the far left side. They've done away with all that basically and moved the building sitting the same. Everything on the layout sitting exactly the same, but they moved the retaining wall in just for, I don't know the exact measurements, probably 46 inches left, and then the drop off of the retaining wall, because now I'm chasing them for a handrail, a guardrail for their employees, for life's sake.
Well, one of the arguments was being able to, for you to get access for the fire department.
That's right, yes. And then he done away with that, and then as he done away with his wraparound drive-through, and now he just got the single drive-through on the far right, I had no more interest in it for egress, for emergency vehicles.
So you could fight a fire the way it sits
Yeah,
now?
because there's an adjacent parking lot, it's always an adjacent parking lot, because they have to have that parking lot so we can get behind the building for roof access.
So you have no problem with that?
Jonathan,
Yes, sir.
is Alex. Question. At our last meeting, we discussed the two conditions that were attached to this site plan. One was to get something approved by BZA, and the other was to have some ordinance passed or amended by the mayor and board of aldermen.
Yes,
Did you ever-
I looked that up and it was passed.
All right.
So there were 3 conditions that I found in the BZA or the planning commission minutes from February 23. Getting the BZA, which they approved that, getting the zoning ordinance, which that was passed, and then sending engineering plans. I have no idea where the engineering plans, what that, I mean, that was, again, that was before I was even here, so I don't know how that, or if it was sent directly to Travis Wilson or whoever. But that
So there was a
the
gap in the
conditions that I
process, we
found.
just don't know where the gap was.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, if your sign, if your proposed sign is gonna be larger than what is allowed, you'll have to go back in front of the BZA.
It won't be,
Won't be?
no.
And that's the only thing that I've got closing, that I've asked both Jonathan and Mayor, and even you guys, is that, that there's an error on this project. How can we successfully close and fix that error? Right? The building's built. Where are we gonna go with this? That's the only thing that I've got concerns with.
Well,
Because if there's flaws on it under international code, I can't issue a cert of occupancy on the building if there's errors.
but from what Jonathan was saying, it sounds as if, to me, as if they may have satisfied the conditions
Yes.
we imposed, and if they had brought the thing back to the planning commission as they were supposed to, it probably would have been approved. Now, that wouldn't have allowed them to then go change it, which they did, but we probably would have approved that too if they'd asked us about it. And it sounds to me like the outstanding issue is the sign's integrity, or the pylon's integrity, and the size of the sign.
And that we need to make sure that, there are changes, and that allows us to make sure that it's gonna go with our current
Yes.
ordinances now.
And Jonathan seemed to be comfortable with that, and as far as the sign, of course, it goes to Travis for asking for that engineering.
Yeah.
The last thing we want is the sign to come
Yes,
flying down in the
and
wind.
then the only other question I had was the landscaping side, and I think Jonathan and I had talked about the landscaping, that's changed back and forth. And you have to understand, as an inspector, I'm going by the overall. I look at that in the beginnings, right? And I may reference the overall through the process, but I'm basically just like a contractor. I'm looking at the phases of construction that they're in to make sure it's matching the site plan. So landscaping's far out, right? But I do know that there's some twist on it. So I just want to make sure that's all right, and we've got a stamp on it from you guys before we bite off some more stuff to chew on.
Let me just ask one question, is from how things were originally, have any of these entrances and exits changed at all? Okay.
The only other thing that I know of that I'm aware of, so Mitch, that's the general contractor, the on-site contractor, is a dream to work with. I know that's not here nor there, but Mitch called me about some curbage and some drainage for stormwater. And this has been a couple weeks ago. I sent Keith Butner up to talk to him because Keith's our utilities manager, our streets manager. That, in turn, I told Mitch that it needs to transfer to TDOT, and that's the same thing that Keith had told him because that's a state route. We was kind of in question with this traffic peanut that they're talking about. How's that going to affect the end results? TDOT, to my understanding, says they really didn't care. That if that's part of our conditions, then they have to put the drainage and stuff in. If it has to be jackhammered, then that's just part of it. So we're still on track with that even. That's not gonna change at all.
Okay.
And part of that is TDOT doing the ramp work
That's right.
as well as the peanut and roundabout.
Yes.
So, and you're right, to stay true, they're going to do whatever their plans are that they've submitted to the state. So-
That's right.
Okay, any other properly presented new business?
If that concludes, I move we adjourn.
We have a motion and a second. All those for?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank